Imagine after getting examined by a doctor wearing glasses, you learn those glasses were smart glasses, possibly recording everything they saw, not only you, but your medical information, and transferring that data to an unknown receiver. Or imagine a near future where you or your significant other could be recorded in real time by a stranger wearing smart glasses, almost indistinguishable from normal ones, and what he saw could be saved for life. There's just one thing. These two hypothetical situations are based on real events involving smart glasses. This is the future the tech giants want to take us to, and this is where we are headed. I'm going to explain how this is happening and what it could mean for our society and our lives. Concerns about technology's effect on privacy have been being voiced for a long time now. Back in the 1800s, the new photographic technology was relatively immobile and cumbersome, and required experts to operate. In the late 1800s, however, new portable or snap cameras hit the market, leading to the first major privacy crisis and alarming people to possible intrusions into their private lives. The cameras were so popular that the legendary Justice Louis Brandeis called it a craze and defined the concept of privacy in 1890 as, quote, the right to be left alone, unquote. Later in the 1960s, the appearance of secret cameras and microphones sparked a second privacy crisis, as described in the book The Naked Society. In 1967, the landmark case Katz v. United States, in which the government wiretapped a phone booth to catch a man making calls involving sports betting, ironed out a fundamental concept of privacy in the United States: the expectation of privacy and privacy as secrecy. Simply put, if you are in a public space, you do not have a reasonable expectation of privacy. Or put in another way, in the US, privacy is viewed as secrecy. If something is not secret, then there is not an expectation of privacy. This idea had vast ripple effects in the US and eventually brought us to a world where you could be secretly recorded and data harvested with smart spy glasses. As I just mentioned, in the US, the expectation of privacy and privacy as secrecy conception is the main rubric of privacy, and this has held out in courts. From location tracking to secret cameras, even reporters' pictures of unintentionally exposed genitalia, in most cases, if you are in the public space, you are fair game in the US. However, in our day-to-day lives, we know that this isn't the whole picture. According to theorist Daniel Solove, problems arising from privacy, issues that really bother us, are much more broad and can be classified into four main groups: information gathering, or taking information aggregation, or combining that information to create a picture of a person, information dissemination, basically sending that information out to other parties, and invasion, which here means invading someone's private space or body. We can see right away that something like gathering pictures of your face as well as your location filmed by hundreds of smart glasses would be a privacy issue under the data aggregation part of this rubric, but in the US court of law would be totally acceptable because such information, your face in public, has no secrecy involved. Unlike a cell phone, smart glasses can act as surveillance tools due to their undetectable nature and are much more effectively able to gather information or film someone in secret. Yet, secret surveillance is totally legal in public places in the US, and data aggregation is not a problem for US courts because that data wouldn't be deemed secret. But it's a problem for us. Data aggregation says that a rap sheet of data, so to speak, can be more revealing than isolated data points. Or you could say the sum of the whole is greater than its parts. Just imagine what a swarm of spy glasses could do in terms of data aggregation. Your movements, your behavior, your facial expressions could be captured by many separate smart glasses on different users and synthesized by bad actors using AI, for example, into a profile that you might not even understand that would be much more invasive than any data point alone. And all that information could be readily disseminated on the web for all to see, without your knowledge and totally legal in courts. And however much we dislike it, this is exactly what big tech wants because it's how they make their money. Exploiting incomplete privacy laws, our human spaces have become raw material for big tech to simply plunder at will, and smart glasses are just more of the same. As Shoshana Zuboff shows in her book, Surveillance Capitalism, big tech shows absolutely no compunction with mining the real world for data, and the most egregious example being Pokemon Go, where the data from the game was sucked into corporate servers, including location, movement, and behavioral data of users as people wandered around looking for Pokemons. They were able to do this because big tech has lobbied Washington and stopped the strengthening and broadening of privacy laws. Let's take, for example, the 2017 repeal of FCC privacy laws. Back then, the House, the Senate, and the President all approved a bill that overturned the FCC's efforts to protect users' sensitive information, such as browsing history, location, app usage, and more, to be gathered and sold by tech companies, giving big tech the green light to harvest and sell our data at will. This helped usher in the era of big surveillance capital. This, of course, will only get worse with smart glasses because it is how those companies make money, especially Meta, who time and time again has shown no shame in scraping personal data from wearables to psychological profiles of users. They have already confirmed what everyone already knew. Smart glasses will collect data. With how hungry Meta is for your data, it's clear that Meta is frothing at the mouth at all of the data that could be gathered with smart glasses. According to the logic of surveillance capitalism, this raw data is packaged and used to create various products that are sold to advertisers to further influence our behavior. If you think pop-ups on your computers are bad, imagine them popping up right in front of your eyes on the street, or imagine the future where fully AR glasses slightly change reality to the advertiser's benefit. For example, making their products slightly brighter or larger, with a few cleverly hidden consent forms, of course. It would be big tech's and advertisers' dream come true, leeching data off of humans so they in turn can be more easily influenced, taking away their agency while we become slaves to machines or worse. Zuckerberg has been cozying up to the Trump administration for a while, and the number of accounts that Meta has provided to the government have increased by 675% from 2014 to 2024. It's very clear that Meta is doing whatever it takes to stay in business, which means stealing our data to make money and handing it over to the government to avoid penalties, or making a mockery of our social contract for pure hard cash. If this bothers you, you're not alone. Such actions go deeply against what we hold dear in our society and point to a growing rift between privacy laws and our social contract, which is what I want to turn to now. Rousseau says in The Social Contract that a law is simply a society's conditions of association, the general will that decides how we are all going to get along as a group. It is perfectly clear that the majority of us are uncomfortable with the unrestricted use of this new technology, and that it is already affecting how we function as a society. A study done comparing the level of discomfort between the use of a computer, a cell phone, and smart glasses shows that people are more uncomfortable with someone using a cell phone to infringe on their privacy than a computer. And the most uncomfortable of all are smart glasses, especially when it comes to secretly filming them. Another study shows what we all know already. People are generally creeped out by smart glasses, especially the possibility of being secretly recorded and identified. Clearly, people do not like the possibility of being recorded with impunity. So why is it legal? I think it comes down to two things: courts lagging behind the times and benefits for big tech. Remember Katz versus the United States, the case that determined privacy as secrecy and reasonable expectation? Back in those days, not a lot of people had access to secret cameras. With these spy glasses, now everyone will have one. Back then, data couldn't be easily aggregated, your face easily searchable and be able to identify you. Now it can, and with ease. Back when privacy laws were first hashed out, the possible damage suable in court of having your face recorded was practically nil. Not anymore. Privacy laws in the US seem to be stuck in the 60s or even before. Or perhaps the laws are stagnating to benefit the tech companies themselves. The Financial Times reports that the amount that AI companies have lobbied Washington has skyrocketed, doubling since 2023, and I'm sure there is a connection with Trump's effort to stop states from controlling AI. Americans might think that everywhere is like this, but this is not the case. The EU's GDPR, which offers much greater protections, dictates that people's faces can only be recorded if someone has a valid reason for doing so, meaning your face isn't fair game like it is in the US and other parts of the world. The thing about a social contract, as philosophers have noted, is that once it is violated, it breaks apart. And if there is no social contract, no power or law to enforce it, we go back to a state of nature. Hobbes says that a state of nature is one where any man can harm any other man at will. In a society where everyone is walking around with wearable AI-powered spy tech, where someone can capture your image, change it, distribute it with impunity and secrecy, the public space will devolve into a state of nature, a war of all against all. In such a society, the American concept of privacy as secrecy and the public space as an open game will be taken to the extreme. The house, if not already invaded by robo-spies such as Alexa and Roomba, will become the only refuge. The public sphere will become a no man's land, an anarchy, a social state of nature, or war of all against all. People will resort to constantly wearing masks outside, or AI disruption technology like AI disrupting glasses. Perhaps burqas will become a fashion statement. People will be less comfortable around each other, more wary of what they say or do. Perhaps there will be no smart glasses establishments. In short, it will just be a total free-for-all, a social war. The chaotic, cruel state of nature that is social media will start bleeding into our reality at an even greater speed and conquering our cherished human space, which is what they've wanted all along. This brings me to the deepest reason smart glasses will harm society: human space. Smart glasses are just another step forward toward the total conquering of our human space by technology, a process that really ramped up with the cell phone, and especially cell phone cameras and social media. But what is human space anyway? What do I mean by this? Simply put, it is an area of knowability and controllability shared between you and other humans. It's knowing what an object is, what it's doing, and how it affects you and others. It's knowing that others are people like you and are experiencing the world as you are. More and more, we are violating human space, and we are all feeling the effects. We feel the effects when we run across an AI video on YouTube or a bot. We feel the effects when someone is on a cell phone in front of us. We don't know if they are experiencing what we are. We don't know what they are doing on that phone. The cell phone represents a black hole of knowledge and behavior, an invading force that distorts space and time, a deeper topic I will talk about in the future. But at least there is something there, a cell phone. A study from 2012 showed that people perceive cell phone conversations to be ruder than real ones, but interestingly, one-sided conversations in real life, where we cannot hear the other person, are even more disturbing. We can all recall our annoyance of hearing people talking to hands-free microphones. If smart glasses are on heads everywhere, we can expect to see people constantly waving their hands around and talking to themselves or nothing at all, eroding our sense of continuity and humanity. With all that being said, at least a cell phone is visible. With smart glasses, paranoia will reign. Everything changes with smart glasses or wearable tech because there is no signaling. Perhaps they are normal, dumb glasses. Perhaps not. You don't know. And that is what is so disturbing. The invasive object is removed entirely, leaving you with just the possibility that your common space is being violated. You don't know what they are doing, seeing, or accessing. You don't know what data is being synthesized, aggregated, and released. The people around you are present, but at the same time, not. In fact, the endgame of AR wearable technology is a complete annihilation of coherent space, a sort of all-encompassing schizophrenia, combined with the psychopathy that sits at the top of big tech. Yet, there are positive uses of smart glasses that we need to address here. For some special populations, smart glasses would be a godsend. Imagine smart glasses being able to type out real-time captions for the hearing impaired, or perhaps recognize objects for the cognitively impaired, or a doctor using AI-powered smart glasses to greatly enhance their capabilities as a doctor. Surely we shouldn't deny good uses of this tech, right? Of course not. But just like we should put nuclear power to use creating electricity and not bombs, smart glasses as a potentially harmful, invasive technology should be controlled. How about authorizing them to be used by certain people only? How about making them obvious or different colored? How about banning them in certain places? Misuse of these glasses, such as covering them up or disguising them, should be punished as severe as our society wants it to be. Remember the general will and the social contract? Is it so extreme, so unthinkable to actually want these kinds of regulations placed on technology? Why is filming people's faces in secret totally acceptable in the US? How about requiring cameras to be visible? How about adding a layer at least of tacit consent? The EU is setting a great example in this regard. South Korea already requires cell phones to make a camera shutter noise when taking pictures to avoid upskirt photos. Is this too much to ask American cell phone makers? To do something as simple as add a blinking light on phones to show everyone that it's recording? Japan, as I will explain in a future video, has many examples of controlling tech in ways that are appropriate to its society and its social contract, and human spaces. To many in the US, there are just two extremes: an Amish 1984 or the techno-heaven singularity. The real question is this: are we simply going to roll over and let these devices into our society? Let them ravish our reality, steal our data, defy our social contract, and destroy our human space? Or are we going to do something about it? This is the question I leave with you today. Soul out.